Welcome back, everybody. So this is certainly going to be a unique video. So I have acquired myself a CCTV system. So this is a Dedicated Micros Digital Sprite 2 analog DVR CCTV system. And since it's analog, that means that all of the camera inputs use coaxial cable. They're really called B and C connectors, but close enough in my opinion. So, got this thing off of eBay for a relatively decent price. So, anyhow, let's just jump straight into showing some of the features of the DVR. So, this view right here, this is of course the split view right here. On this one it's showing 4 cameras, but if we utilize these buttons down here, we can change how many cameras it's showing at a time. So for example, right now it's on this one right here, so let's go to this one. And yep, now it's showing all of them, but of course I do not have every camera hooked up, so the ones that are not hooked up are just black screens. And let's see, and on this one it's kind of like a picture-in-picture mode, basically just showing 2 camera screens, but you see one is like in the top corner of the screen and the other is taking up the entire rest of the screen. And then these buttons down here are for toggling specific cameras. So let's push 1, for example. Yep, that's camera 1, full screen. Camera 2. Yep, and camera 3. Let me put it back to the way I had it. And of course, these controls over here are for playback purposes. So, if you look at the lights down here, right now it's just in live mode. But if we push the play button, aha, now it is playing back footage, or trying to anyway. And the light has changed to play instead of live. And there are other controls down here too, like for example, rewind. And the more you push it, the faster it rewinds. Let's see how fast you can rewind anyway. I don't know. Let's try fast forward now. Hit play. And now, let's rewind. I'm not sure what's going on there, but anyhow, let's just go back to live mode, which I think in order to do that, we just need to actually, if you toggle a camera when you're in playback mode, it actually plays that specific camera footage. So let's push play again. And now let's rewind. Is it in playback mode? I mean, yeah, I'm moving in front of the cameras and everything, and I'm not seeing anything pop up, so it is playing. Oh yeah, it is playing. There I am, right there. Alright. Well, let's see here. So, now how do I get back to live mode? Maybe it's the mode button. There we go, I think we are back in live mode. Yep, and the light went back over to live mode. Another feature on the DVR, which I forgot to show originally, is the sequence function. So, for example, let's just toggle one of the cameras here individually. And then, yep, this button right here is a sequence mode. So when you enable this, you see it says sequence up there, but it scrolls through each individual camera screen, just one at a time. And yeah, it just cycles through each individual screen, just constantly. So, just another minor feature in which I wanted to point out about this DVR system. Alright, so now let's get into the cameras in which I have hooked up to the CCTV system. So the first one I'm going to talk about is this bullet camera. This is just a fixed mount bullet camera. That's the brand right there. I believe that's pronounced Anki. But, yep, just a standard analog camera that is fixed mount. And then on both sides of that bullet camera, I have dome cameras. These dome cameras are just some off-brand Chinese cameras. And the thing about these dome cameras too, that makes them different from just this bullet camera. While the dome cameras are analog, they also support pan, tilt, zoom capability. And they're hooked up to serial wires called RS485 to control the pan, tilt, and zoom. So you might be able to see, just kind of looking at the base of the camera here, these things can move. So it's not like this where it's just fixed in place. These things have the capability of spinning, moving up and down, and zooming in. So, and well, we also have another pan, tilt, zoom camera right here, but this camera is just currently inoperable for unknown reasons. So, as of right now, just these three cameras are hooked up to the system. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to show you guys on this CCTV system is this PTZ joystick keyboard controller. PTZ meaning the pan, tilt, and zoom like I was talking about earlier on those dome cameras. So, this controller is what actually makes the magic happen. So, let's talk about how it works. Right here, of course, is just power, 12 volts. But then these terminals back here is RS485, positive and negative wires. So I just have a pair of wires right there, one positive, one negative, and the other end of those wires are going to those dome cameras. And one's even daisy-chaining off one another, just as long as the cameras can communicate. And the way that I'm able to control multiple cameras just off of one pair of wire really is because each dome camera or PTZ camera has its own address. So that's how you can control different cameras over the same wire. So anyhow, let's just demonstrate it now. So, for example, camera number 2 is one of the dome cameras in which I showed you earlier. So, let's start messing with this joystick and move the camera. Ah, see? Yeah, look at that. Yeah, we are able to move the camera like that. So yeah, it has left and right, of course, for rotating left and right. And then if you twist this joystick, let's see, that's actually zoom out. Twist it the other way. Yep, that is zoom in. And yep, twist it the opposite way. So, yeah, and that's how you make it zoom in and out. So, Now let's go to the other camera, which I think is going to be camera 3 on this one, which is the really jittery one for whatever reason, but what can we do about it? So now to control the other camera that's just hooked up to this same wire, daisy chaining off the other camera, we just need to punch in the second camera's address, which is 002. And now let's start moving it. And yeah, well, the feed is jittery, but you can still tell that it is moving. So let's go back to camera 1 now. Nope. Wrong button. Okay. Back on camera 1. Well, at least camera 1 on this controller as far as it's concerned, but on the DVR it's really camera 2. Another feature I wanted to show on the controller is the scan function, which means that the camera scans its entire radius that it can rotate. It's also known as patrol. So let's toggle this. And now you see, yep, the camera is slowly turning. And then once it reaches its limit on one side, it's just going to automatically start moving the other way. Yep, just like that. And it's going to do this for the entire opposite direction as well. It just slowly scans the entire radius that it can rotate. So we're just going to override it by touching the joystick. Move it back. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys the PTZ functionality again, but this time from a third-person point of view of you staring at the cameras and actually watching them move. So, just like last time, I'm going to start with camera 1, or I guess technically camera 2 on the DVR, but 1 as far as the controller is concerned. So I'm going to start moving it. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. And now let's look down. Look up. Alright. And now we're going to move camera number 2 on the controller, which is really camera number 3 on the DVR. Alright. And same deal. Let's look down. Look up. Yeah. So pretty cool stuff. Alright, so now the next function I wanted to show you guys is the night vision mode, in which all 3 cameras have. So, I'm gonna turn out the lights and show you guys. And yep, you see each one just kicked on night vision mode there. So, for instance, yeah, let's just scroll through each individual camera, or actually let's use the sequence mode to do that. Nope, wrong button. Let's turn out this light too, just in case. And yep, that's each camera with its night vision enabled. And the way that it's scrolling through each camera screen individually like that kind of seems like a horror type movie or video game. But let's get out of that. Let's just go to camera 2. And yeah, let's move it. And yeah, that's what the PTZ looks like when using night vision too. So one thing I wanted to point out regarding the PTZ functionality on this system is the fact that this DVR unit was supposed to support PTZ functionality on its own as well, and even supporting the protocols in which these dome cameras use. But despite following all of the wiring instructions, programming instructions, both from the DVR's manual and camera manuals, we just could not get it to work, and we're not even sure why it wasn't working at this point. So essentially that controller down there is just acting as a standalone third-party controller for PTZ, which it's not the end of the world. Doesn't really take that much more effort to wire in one of those as it does to wire in the PTZ cameras just straight into the DVR control wires. I will say though, it was a little disappointing not being able to use the DVR's native PTZ controls, because I didn't get to use this really cool, honestly looking keyboard and joystick controller that's specifically made for this Dedicated Micros unit. Yeah, you see the logo right there. And I don't know if it's just me, but I think it definitely looks a lot cooler than just that. So it's a little disappointing not being able to use that, but I'm just glad I got the PTZ functionality working at all. Alright, and now here is the back of the board in which all the cameras are mounted. So yeah, you just see all these power cords and coaxial cables going into the back of the DVR, and then these wires right here, this one going into that kind of connector right there, are the RS485 wires. Oh, actually, yeah, here's the input right here coming from that controller, going into that connector, and then going into both of these cameras. And that, as you can see, it's just kind of daisy chaining off one another. But that doesn't matter since the cameras are addressed and it can tell the difference. And yeah, this adapter right here is how the TV is getting that video signal from the DVR, because the DVR originally uses coaxial as its video output, but this is converting it to HDMI. So yeah, that's the input right there, and then there's the output, HDMI. And then there's a power supply powering all these cameras. It's a 12 volt 5 amp power adapter. I definitely needed that higher amperage just because of the amount of cameras I'm using and their power draw rating. So yeah, that's behind the scenes right there. But honestly, other than that, I think that's going to do it for this video. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.